Good afternoon. This is Leah, and I'm here in another Canada Kate Cafe to try to get another word into my head by pairing it with a story about myself. Uh, so, I hope you have your tea or coffee. Mine this time is green tea with some cream and honey in it. I like to try to get something a little bit different every time. So, today's word is going to be vartane, which means attitude, I believe. Vartane can make a huge difference in how you experience hardship or even good times. It's so important to have good ideas in your head that help you to have the right vartane to handle situations in your life. In fact, vartane can determine whether you're happy or miserable in your life. I can think of all the things that are wrong right now, like the virus that's plaguing the world at this time. I can think of the abuse and violence that's going on around in the world, or I can be thankful for little things like this hot tea in my hand on a cool, overcast day. By the way, I'm very happy to be here in Bangalore for the winter. Evidently, international flights are not starting until spring sometime, possibly. And so I get to miss another icy, snowy Ohio winter. And I know my family is probably quite jealous about this. But I'm so happy to spend it here with you. The temperature difference is probably something on the line of about 30 degrees difference Celsius. They have it about 20 to 30 degrees colder in my hometown than we have here in Bangalore. So be thankful. Have a good vartane. So I think of a certain story of when I was able to have a good vartane about a situation. It made all the difference in how I handled it. I was always a very active kind of young woman. I realized in my high school days that an office job was really not for me. I was going crazy during bookkeeping class, and so I realized that I needed something more active. In fact, I wanted to be in the forestry department somewhere, or handling animals, or something with nature. I just knew that I needed to get some exercise on the job. So I worked as an electrician for 5 years, and soon after that I got warehouse work, which wasn't quite as strenuous, but I learned some new things. And then later on in life, when I was in my 40s, I had to start working at a warehouse again. And so I got work operating lift equipment, which was quite a relief to me because I was not in as good a shape as I was in my 20s. I applied for one of the jobs that would be stacking the food cases on the pallets for shipping out to the stores. That was a very strenuous job. I knew that ahead of time. I had seen it for years. I'd watched those people doing it. But I was thinking, I'm in my 40s now. Can I still do this kind of thing? And I considered it for a while, and I thought, I think I can. I think I can still do it. So I put in for it. I got the call. They said, "Are you sure you want this job?" I said, "Yeah." They said, "Okay, you've got it. Start on this morning." So early in the morning, I presented myself there and was one of the few women that were on that shift. And I had to slowly work my way up to being fit enough to do that job at a pace that was considered acceptable. But I didn't quit. I had the Vartanay. I can do it. I can do it. My feet started hurting really bad. For a long time, my feet were in tremendous pain, and I asked a long-time order filler there, I said, when you started, did your feet hurt this bad? And he said, yeah, but it gets better. So that was encouraging. And I kept it up, and I started in the spring. And I knew that in the summer, the place is not air conditioned. So we would be dealing with a lot of heat and sweating and getting dirty. When you sweat, any dust and stuff sticks to you a lot more. But I knew from a long time ago in labor jobs, laborious jobs, that I am washable. A dirty job with honor does not make you a dirty person. It only means you are a hardworking person that cleans up good. I was friendly to everybody there, and one day I saw a woman from the office in the break room, and I sat down and decided to start up a conversation with her. Well, evidently, she didn't like me asking about a certain book that she was reading. I don't know why. Possibly her Vartanay about the subject she was reading. I don't know. I wasn't meaning to offend her in any way. I was just trying to start a conversation. So later on that day, I got pulled into the office. Usually that means you're in trouble, right? So I sat down, was thinking, oh, what did I do now? And my manager had someone else there with them and said, we've had someone say something about you. It doesn't necessarily mean it's true. It just means we have to address these things. Someone told us that you have strong body odor. And I thought, what? And then I thought, wait a minute. I'm working as an order filler, working hard on an early summer day. All order fillers smell. What do they expect? It's not like we can, put deodorant on us every time we get finished with a pallet. And so the more I thought about it, the more hilarious and ridiculous it seemed. And I started laughing, and the manager said, it's okay, obviously when you sat down, we could tell that, it wasn't that bad of a problem. It's not like they were telling us. And I just started laughing harder and louder, and the manager said to the person who was with them, please close the door. They didn't want everybody to hear me laughing so hard. And so she said, we just have to talk to you about it, say we addressed the issue. Like we said, it's not a problem, okay? And I just could not hardly reply because I was laughing so hard about how ridiculous that situation was. Well, they could see that that was a lie, so they let me go. But I couldn't. I mean, actually, because of the Vartane that I had about that situation. Now, some people could have gotten really offended or really scared, thinking, "Oh no, do I really?" and but I just thought it was so crazy that something like that would happen that actually I was chuckling about it all day long. I was telling people about what happened, and it actually made my day that that woman was trying to get me in trouble by saying that I stank. So having the right Vartane can mean the difference between being horrified in a situation like that or having a great and funny day because of that situation. So we can apply good Vartane to most situations in our life, not necessarily laughing our heads off about opposition or trouble, but we always have a choice. We have a choice in how we're going to think about someone's actions, someone's attitudes, their Vartane. We don't have to have a certain Vartane about anything. We can choose the way we think and act in response to a situation. So before you do anything rash, ask yourself, is this the only way to think about this situation? How can I make this into the best situation possible by choosing my Vartane? So with that, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for having tea with me. I really appreciate you brightening my day by spending time watching me. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day with good Vartane.